Hi, this is Ken and Michelle Bass.
And you're listening to the Resilient Parenting Podcast.
Here we are ready to go again, I think. Are you ready to go?
I've been ready.
Oh, I'm prepared. I've got ammunition right here.
Ammunition? What exactly are you prepared for?
More dad history stuff.
Okay.
You know, I'm working dads into this whole thing, the talk about, kids and parents. And I thought maybe, I needed to
You
talk
being a
about
dad isn't enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm even wearing a T-shirt that says Bat Dad on it.
Yes, you are. Bat Dad, not bad dad.
Okay. Great moments in dad history. July 9th, 1953.
You were one.
I was. Not anymore. George Kinsley became the first dad to angrily shut a door left open for 5 seconds while yelling, "I'm not paying to air condition the whole neighborhood." Oh, do we remember that one?
Oh, well, we didn't use air conditioning.
Oh. If I had air conditioning, no. Okay, another great moment in dad history. October the 4th, 1971. Kind of in the same vein. 1971.
That was the year I was born.
Yeah. And I wasn't one anymore. Okay.
You were not one.
Upon dropping off his kid at a friend's house for the fourth day in a row, a dad named Ted Barnes bellowed for the first time, "I'm not running a taxi service here." I'm not painting dads in a good picture,
No, you're not. Why are they all so grumpy? Why do they have to yell?
I don't know. It's just the way. Okay, I'll do one more. Not quite as grumpy, okay?
Okay, don't be grumpy. You sound like get off my lawn guy.
Great moments in dad history. October 1st, 1969. Tom Wilkie was the first dad to hear a distant siren and say to his kid, "Hey, they're coming for you."
I still do that one.
That's a dad and mom joke.
Or it's just a really bad joke that should probably
We
be
like to share those between us.
We have lots of jokes between us.
Without pointing. Hey, next episode. Next. Today we're chatting with Mike Wood, a.k.a. Woody, who is the facilitating the Nurturing Fathers Fatherhood program through St. Vincent de Paul and Coeur Alene, and we're just going to call you Woody. Is that right? You like going by Woody?
Yep, that'll be perfect.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, welcome, Woody, to our little podcast. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
I have been facilitating this Nurturing Fathers program since 2010, and my wife and I have been married for a little over 30 years and have raised two children. We have two adult children, one that lives in the area and one that is in Denver. And I like, one thing about me is that a father to me is the most important job that I have.
Wonderful. Well, so I have not heard of the Nurturing Fathers program. Can you explain that to our listeners?
Yeah, Nurturing Fathers is a 13-week program that we meet once a week for a couple hours. And we have a journal that we go through that talks about all kinds of different fatherhood things. So like, we start off with how we can be a better father to ourselves, and talk about our inner child and fathering our inner child, our relationship to our own father, how we interact with our emotions, and kind of lay a foundation for ourselves as a father, as a man, so that we can give back to our children. It was started by Mark Perlman in the 90s, and there's several people across the country that use the Nurturing Fathers program as a tool to help men be the best father that they can be.
Now, you're going to help other fathers be better fathers. What do you attribute your own learning as a father to? Where did you get all the ideas for yourself?
I try to be introspective about who I am as an individual. And I took the Nurturing Fathers class myself before I started facilitating it. And in the last 15 years, every time I teach, I'll teach 3 or 4 classes a year. And every class that I teach, I'm always thinking about myself. I'm not just what I facilitate, right? I don't teach, because as a facilitator, I'm learning from the men in my class too. And so I'm trying to learn from them and apply that to my own fathering also. So I think that's a lot of where I've learned to be a father.
What are some of the biggest things you think you've learned initially about being a father?
Well, like a lot of other guys, I kind of had an attitude of, if it's not broke, why fix it? And I found out really quickly that there are some things that are broken. It may not seem broken from the outside, but it is, when you get down to the heart of the matter, that you sometimes as fathers, we put barriers in between ourselves and our relationship with our children that we don't really recognize, and learning to break down those barriers, and like in the last couple of years, I've learned sorry, I've learned the mistakes that I've made and ways to repair those mistakes with my adult children, asking for forgiveness and loving
Wow.
unconditionally. So those are like more recent lessons that I've been able to acquire.
So some fathers will also carry on something they learned from their own fathers. Were you able to do any of that initially?
Yeah, we talk about, well, the beginning, the first class of Nurturing Fathers program, we talk about our father, who he was as a father, our discipline, our relationship to him. And then we talk about, who do I want to be as a father, and in the father that I choose to be. And we say, do we want to keep that our father did? What do we want to throw away that our father did? And what do we want to add of our own? And that's something that we look back on through the 13 weeks, is to say, okay, well, here, you said you wanted to keep this. You said you wanted to throw that away.
Mm.
How is that going?
Absolutely. And if you think about your father or your father, they also were taught by their father and their father before them. So some of these ways of parenting, we don't know exactly where it all came from. And at some point, to be able to pause and go, wait a minute, is this helpful? Is this the kind of parent I want to be? Is this the father I want to be? Have you had any pushback from men, around asking for help, or wanting to, you know, like you said, like thinking like, if it's not broken, why fix it?
Yeah, I have. I get a lot of men in my class that are court ordered, or maybe spouse ordered to take
Mm.
it. And they're like, the first meeting, their attitude a lot of time is, I'm a great dad. I don't need anybody telling me what to do. Right. But I also have never had anybody at the end of the 13 weeks say, that class was dumb. I wish I would never have participated in that. I get, yeah. So, yeah.
It's so needed. I think about like different programs that are out there, and a lot of times it feels like there isn't a focus on actual fathers or parenting. So I'm curious, like after the 13 weeks, is there like a chance to come together like a support group, or how, once they've made these connections, what have you found um, that they've done since then?
So something that I'm working on, is putting together a monthly call in for guys that have been in Nurturing Fathers, so we can talk about, how that's going, and I'm working on setting that up. Not exactly, sure what that will look like right now, but there are one of the goals of the program is that men make connections to each other. So, I have guys that have been in the program, and they started a D&D group with other dads in the Nurturing Fathers, and they still get together and play D&D and talk about fathering. And so there are some informal things where guys come together.
Nice.
I feel like maybe a lot of fathers' issue to begin with would just being achieving vulnerability,
Mhm.
that they feel like they have to have this shield up about how strong they really are
And have all the
and
answers.
have all the answers. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a class where we get vulnerable with one another. And everybody says, signs a confidentiality agreement. But it's still hard for guys to be vulnerable, but they do. I've had men cry in class. And everybody in class, like, the great thing is when guys get vulnerable like that, the rest of the class all gathers around them and supports them and says, "Hey, I've been there. You're gonna make it through it. We're here for you," and that kind of thing. So the vulnerability is really a great aspect.
That's beautiful. I am wondering, what are some aha moments that you've learned from the men that you've worked with?
Well, one of the aha moments that I've learned, I'm a pretty like, I don't know, plain guy. I don't have tattoos. I've not been to prison. I haven't had kids in the um, foster care system. I've been married for 30 years. And one of the things that I've learned from the guys in my class, that it doesn't matter what your background is. If you every guy can be a nurturing father. It doesn't matter if your marriage or your relationship with your kid's mom is broken, or if you're broken, because we are all broken.
Mhm.
And, like, trying to take that brokenness and make something good out of it with your own children. That's like the real big aha moment.
You- I appreciate that because it reminded me about what you said earlier about repair, even with your adult children. So, even looking at some of these men and thinking about maybe some of the choices they made before, they maybe weren't so happy about or wish they could change, but to know that it's not too late, that there is repair that can happen and that you can build connection with your children. Has that been part of the journey?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's they're like, I'm able, guys in the class, the program, are able to really build relationship with their kids. And relationship, that's the foundation of nurturing.
Mhm.
And if you have a positive relationship with your kids, then all the other stuff that happens is going to be okay.
I don't want to get too personal, but did you have a good relationship with your father? And what's the biggest thing you could take from your relationship with your own dad and pass on?
Well, my dad, it's interesting because I get guys in class that their father was so terrible. Like, we just get some stories about dads that I can't believe the things that have happened. And my dad wasn't like that. My father was beat by his father. He was abused physically by his own father, and he made a choice to not be abusive to me. But he also made a choice not to be there for us. He was not just a workaholic. He kind of left us with childcare because my mom wasn't in the home. And then when I was 20, he remarried, and his wife didn't like me or his other kids. And so he just kind of didn't have anything to do with me after that. And so it's, so, like, one of the things I take away from my own dad is that I want to be involved with my kids as adults. That I made that choice, that I'm not
Mhm.
gonna live my own life, that my children, I want them to be a part of my life now that they're grown too, you know. So, and
Yeah.
we had, because he was not there, not around very much, I learned to figure out how to do things on my own, right? And so like I learned how to change the oil on a car and how to build, stuff, and without his help. And I'm thankful for that, because now when I run into difficulties, I know how to overcome those. And so that's
Hmm.
something that I've taken away from my own father. You know.
Yeah. Definitely you can learn what you want and what you don't want. Like you were saying, the first class is, from your own father, um, what you want to continue with your own children. And then some of the best learnings is what you don't want to continue. And
Mhm.
that is a big step and takes practice, and it's not like a quick fix. It does take some intentionality. So I really appreciate you sharing your experience. So folks that are listening right now who are like, I want to get into a nurturing fathers group. What is the current status in Idaho?
So in the state of Idaho, I'm the only facilitator for nurturing fathers. I have been in conversation with some men in other parts, in Boise and in Idaho Falls, about training some men to facilitate the program. I
Mhm.
recently was certified to train other facilitators. And so we are looking at January of 2026 to put on trainings in those areas so that there can be some more opportunity for people to be a part of the program in the state.
Are these programs free to attend?
No, they're not. They're the one that I do is $130, but there are scholarships available for it. That's up to the organization that puts it on. Mine's through St. Vincent de Paul of North Idaho. They coordinate kind of all of the logistics for me, and that's their fee.
That's actually a really good price for 13 weeks.
Yeah, right. It's $10 a week, right?
Yeah. So very reasonable. Well, that's exciting news that it'll be the goal January 2026 to get more guys out there teaching this and reaching more men across the state of Idaho. For those that are thinking about it, what would be something that you would, whether or not, like if they're on the fence, what would be something you would say to them?
I I think that, like I said at the beginning, that fathering is the most important job that we have. And we get tools to do our job. You might learn on the job, but you got somebody there mentoring you to work through it. Or I work for the University of Idaho as my full-time job, and I got I had to take 6 years of education to do the job that I'm doing right now. And fathering, we're just kind of thrown into that job. And this is a 13-week, a 26 hours that can change the dynamics of your relationship and of your family for a lifetime.
Wow.
Well worth it.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for sharing this amazing resource and what you're doing. Definitely making a difference. And I mean, just like you think about generationally, I mean, what the work that you're doing is helping future generations of fathers. So that's pretty amazing.
Where can people look up information on this?
Yeah, so if they're interested in being a part of the program or getting on the list for being a facilitator or trainer, what do they need to do?
So the Idaho Children's Trust Fund is helping promote the facilitator training.
Okay.
So contacting the Idaho Children's Trust Fund would be a way to express interest in being a trainer. And if someone is in the Coeur d'Alene, I get people from Bonners Ferry and from Kellogg. So, there's people that drive to class. If you're in North Idaho and you want to take the class, reach out to St. Vincent de Paul of North Idaho and the iCare program, and
Okay.
they will, provide that information on when the next class is. I should have a class starting at the beginning of the year.
Perfect. And then those that are listening nationally, it sounds like, can they just look up Nurturing Fathers to
Yep.
be able to?
Yep, the Nurturing Fathers program has a website.
Okay. I will add that to the show notes to make it easier for our listeners. And then all the different resources that you just shared. So thank you so much. I'm excited to follow your journey and see this all over the state of Idaho. It's
Yeah,
very
thank
important
you all.
work.
Thank you, Woody, for what you're doing.
Yep, I appreciate you all and all that you do.
Oh, well, thank you.
This podcast is brought to you by the Idaho Children's Trust Fund.